It has just gone afternoon here in South Africa, so a very, very warm welcome from the home of Chenin Blanc, and welcome wherever you might be around the wine drinking world to an incredibly special announcement. It's one I look forward to a great deal every year. It is the announcement of the Standard Bank Top 10 Chenin Blancs for the year, as we raise a glass to a grape that is just doing such a wonderful, wonderful job on the South African wine story right around the world. We've been loving it in South Africa for some time now, but I think increasingly in different markets internationally as well, South African Chenin and South African Chenin-led blends are really starting to get people excited in different winemaking areas, and South African Chenin Blanc is now such an exceptionally sought after wine. And so today, in giving you 10 of the very best, we're able to celebrate not just Chenin itself, but also some of the very best of South African wine. It's very proudly brought to you by the Chenin Blanc Association of South Africa, which is led by the quite formidable Ina Smith, and by Standard Bank, who are wonderful, wonderful supporters of Chenin Blanc, and in particular, a gentleman called Craig, who's actually Standard Bank's head of Chenin Blanc. They have one. You wouldn't think they did, but they do. That is how seriously Standard Bank take Chenin and take this particular sponsorship. And it's a sponsorship, it's a partnership, it's a family that is not just about recognizing one, but also putting back into the community. And a little later, we'll find out exactly how that works and why the prize in this particular competition for each of the 10 winners is so unique and so special. To win the prize, though, to be in the top 10 of the Standard Bank Chenin Blanc top 10 for this year, you need some people who know their wine rather well to determine which those top wines are. And this year, the panel of judges was exceptional. They did not have an easy job. There was a lot of wine and a lot of very good wine to drink through. Tough gig. And to see exactly who the contenders were for this much sought after top 10. So to let us know who the judges were, how the judging went, and just how good the class of 2021 has been, let's head over to the person who chaired the panel, and he's got a great love of wine and a great knowledge of wine, but he's got a particular fondness for Chenin Blanc. James Pietersen, a very, very warm welcome to our official announcement. Great to have you.
Thank you, Dan. It's so good to know that Standard Bank has a head of Chenin Blanc. It's clear from their love for this grape variety that they've got this wonderful byline that says a national treasure. It was fantastic to taste Chenin Blanc again. It's probably one of my favorite panels to sit on every year. It's my second year's panel chair, and we have a great compatriots joining me on the panel to help me with making this very complicated and difficult decision. I've got Bula Gerber, lively live wire winemaker from Groot Constantia, joined by Hugo Jacobs, sommelier at large involved with Strauss & Co. And then I've got Penny Setti from Penny Noir, with a very exciting, lively, delicious wine bar in Cape Town. Also sommelier in trade, Meile Lambert, who's a journalist. Exciting new talent coming through on the panel. And finally, we also have an associate this year, Almos, who came through to learn and learn about the ropes. Chenin Blanc is by far at the moment our shining light when it comes to the grape that we produced. We've seen that it is now, in my opinion, the benchmark when it comes to Chenin Blanc in the world. No offense to the Loire, but we are the gurus when it comes to Chenin Blanc. I've sat on quite a few Chenin Blanc panels through the year, and the competition is increasing, and there's a constant absolute drive for excellence, and you see that in these wines. Pulling these wines apart is an extremely difficult job. There are myriads of styles and just wonderful, wonderful wines. We had 138 entries this year, 81 of those from 81 different producers, and after 2 or 3 days of real rigorous tasting, and I mean this is hard work, the wines might be delicious, you might be tempted to swallow, but it's one of those things you can't do. We ended up with 26 wines that we re-scrutinized on the last day to pull the top 10 through. We had a clear top 10, which made it easier for us. These are the wines that scored the highest. The scoring system in this case is out of 20. And we introduced a little bit of a check and balances on us this year, where we put in some top scoring wines from other competitions and that did not enter the competition to keep us on our toes. And we can confidently say that if any of those other 95-point wines from other competitions were in the lineup, they would have to really battle it out to be in the top 10. Remarkably, we have quite a few of the return players into the mix, which means that these guys really know what they're doing, considering that the panel is a rotating panel, so you have different people on the panel. We still see that there's a consistent group of guys that come through. One or two of these guys have been in the top 10 6, 7 times now, so that's an absolute remarkable process. The judges again remarked on the absolute quality of the wines. I think it speaks to a better understanding of the grape variety. Old vineyards are definitely playing a role, with most of the top 10 coming from vineyards that are 35 plus years old. There's only 1 or 2 that have a good dollop of younger vineyards in them. Alcohols have come down a little bit, most of them under the 14% bracket, 13 something around there. So very exciting. We also see that the oak regimes, the way that these wines are matured and the élevage is all quite varied. You've got goodies like Concrete Eggs, Amphorae, large 5,000 litre vats, 500 litre vats, old oak, all these things playing their role in a much more sophisticated take on producing Chenin Blanc. And I think we'll continue to see that. We saw a greater variety of styles again this year. It's important for the Standard Bank Challenge to look at these and bring these to the fore. And this is where the sponsorship by Standard Bank is really crucial. I think they've made Chenin Blanc their own. I think is a great grape to have chosen to champion. And as a treasure, it's something that we really are grateful for the Standard Bank sponsorship and making sure that we continue to scrutinize this category and contribute with top scores and naming these winners to continue the excellence going forward. And well done to all the winemakers, the wine growers, the producers, an excellent job. Ina and her team were fantastic. And to the judges, really exciting. We've got good talent coming through, and it's good to have tasted this competition again. I thought it was pretty spectacular, and very excited to see the results. You guys are going to just be excited about it.
I think that's a wonderful, wonderful endorsement from a man who knows his wine particularly well. James, thank you, not just for chairing the panel, and we say with tongue in cheek that it must be a great job to have, but I know you guys put in a huge amount of work collectively, so thank you for that. And thank you for helping us to celebrate Chenin Blanc. You're not the only one who does that today. I mentioned that Standard Bank have an official head of Chenin Blanc. He's also got a minor role as head of commercial clients for Standard Bank, but the big one is head of Chenin Blanc. Greg Polkinghorne, lovely to have you on today. Thank you so much, not just for being with us today, but for the commitment to Chenin Blanc that Standard Bank continues to show and show so happily and so proudly. Give us an understanding, why Chenin Blanc, why this particular space, why do you get behind this top 10 with such excitement and enthusiasm?
And thank you. I think you might get me fired because I certainly don't have a business card that says head of Chenin Blanc, but I look forward to having that and joining our marketing team. So I will apply for that role. But thanks for having me on the show. It's an exciting day for us because it recognizes excellence, and I think it recognizes a unique South Africanness. And as you know, Standard Bank's a very South African and African brand. Why Chenin? I think it was an area where we thought we could make an impact. And if you look at what has happened to Chenin over the past while, it's doubled domestic consumption over, 15 years, I guess, and then also huge impact on exports, and that the local consumption is, call it close to 5 million litres, and approximately 15 million gets exported. So again, really positive in terms of export revenues, really good for the wine estates and farms, good for the industry, and good indirectly for employment. So we felt that we could make a difference in the economy and in the communities in which the wine farms operate and the estates operate. And so that was why we chose Chenin. And we also thought, it was, of the white wines, the one that was going to be really South African and be unique in that regard.
You mentioned a couple of things there, Craig, which are particularly important, but I think the community one you reference is of really great significance, because that's an element that makes these awards so special. Before I get Craig to elaborate on that, let's have a look at exactly why being part of the top 10 doesn't just give you a really cool sticker on your bottle and the kudos of knowing you've got an exceptional Chenin Blanc. It also allows you to help the community you are in as the wine farm, the wine estate, the wine brand, and to really make a difference beyond the wine.
In 2014, with the generous support of Standard Bank, the Chenin Blanc Association started the annual Chenin Blanc Top 10 Challenge, identifying and rewarding top Chenin winemaking in the country. Every year, each of the top 10 producers receives a cash prize, with the condition that the money be spent on projects to uplift and upskill farm workers, their families and their communities. Speer in Stellenbosch is a regular Top 10 Challenge winner. This is their story.
We use the winnings from this competition towards supporting 20 students to obtain a formal qualification that will allow them to start their own farm or potentially even work for other wineries or agricultural producers.
I want to be a winemaker in 10, 15 years' time. People are saying this is for white men, hey, not a black woman. But inside me, I have that drive. So with all the support, I know that I can.
I absolutely love this. The check going, not to go and have a big party and celebrate, but to do something really meaningful. And over the years, we've seen all of these different winners take that money and put it into schools, into educational projects, into supporting workers who have been such an integral part of allowing us to drink the wine that we do. Craig, when I look at that, I've got goosebumps just watching that little story there from Speer. It's a unique and such an uplifting way of rewarding the 10 different winners.
Dan, it is indeed, and I guess part of the idea comes from an experience we had years ago where we led the Ghana cocoa transaction, which is a huge transaction. It's the largest soft commodity transaction in the world. And traditionally, you would give a gift to the client, which is the Ghana Cocoa Board. And over the years, they had got silver trays and more silver trays. And the year we led the transaction, we gave them 2 boreholes, which they installed at a school and a hospital. And the celebration of the community was remarkable. And I think we've applied that same logic to how we think about this prize. And so the money that the winners get is specifically earmarked for improvement in the community. Lots of the winemakers and wine estates and the winners choose to use it for educational purposes. And the Speer example, which is so heartwarming and indicates the drive and ambition that you might find in your community, happens to be at one angle of it. But we have people involved in all types of community projects, whether it's early learning, school development, etc., etc. Some have used the money to provide transport for scholars to get to school. So we don't specify what it needs to be used for, because we don't assume that we know what the communities need. But the different farms and the different estates, they implement it, and it really buys a lot of buy-in from the actual community in support of the winners. So we really like the fact that it has an impact far wider than just recognizing the excellence of the wine and the winemaker.
I think it is a terrific initiative, Craig, and it adds such a wonderful level to this particular award. So thank you, and thank you, Standard Bank, for not just the support here, but for taking that support far beyond simply the wine and right into the communities. And we're going to have many more inspiring stories, I'm sure, as the 2021 winners get announced. We find out where their money is going, how their communities are going to benefit from the largesse of Standard Bank. Right, so we know that the wine is exceptional according to the judges. We know that the winners have got something very special from a very proud sponsor to take away with, on top of the celebration of being in the top 10. So who's in that top 10? Well, let's head over to the judges just before we meet our chairman and find out from the judges what their feedback is like on the 2021 judging.
I don't think anybody really understands how incredible Chenin Blanc is to this whole wine drive of South Africa. We are the benchmark in defining what this variety can do and what its parameters are. Chenin Blanc is really true to South Africa now. It's just, the wines are delicious. Chenin is awesome, and Standard Bank support is crucial to make sure that this works brilliantly. Ina and her team are great. Thank you for everybody that's been involved, for helping us with this. And Chenin is amazing in that it has this kind of great sense of diversity. There's so many different styles that can be celebrated. We're seeing more and more interesting kind of tweaks on old styles coming through. You've got wooded wines, unwooded wines, you've got wines that are a bit more new wave, cutting edge. You've got a nice savory element coming through. And they're all being celebrated and they're all coming through the ranks. So it's a dynamic space.
This is what, third year running now that I've been privileged to be on the panel, and it's been just amazing how the style of Chenin has been changing and what we've been able to pull out of the hat.
South Africans make Chenins of light. At our low latitude, we get a lot of light intensity, and I think this really shows in the styles of wine. And on this panel now, tasting through the various different styles and the diversity of styles, what was quite evident to me was that the winemakers had pulled back on a lot of winemaking techniques and were allowing the fruit to show through, and this distinctive terroir of sunshine and light intensity. There were the ripe, rich, concentrated styles. There was the more subtle, salty, savory styles, which I was quite drawn to, and I would really like to see more of those. There were intelligent wines, and there were wines with persistence and length. And South African Chenin tastes like no other wine on earth. It is so prescriptive and descriptive of its place.
So good as always. It's probably my favorite tasting by now to participate in. It's great to be back. What's cool is, I think, if I remember correctly, but I think I was part of the panel right in the beginning in the first couple of years, and then took that compulsory break, and now back on it again, I think second or third year now. And it's just, it's really something to look forward to. Chenin keeps on surprising us. It's so diverse in styles, and I feel and I hope that we've captured that diversity into the top 10 in the end. Stylistically, what I noted is that there's more and more wines inspired by the sort of new wave producers, more nervy, more savory, fresh styles coming out. So therefore, in the same breath, less rich, oaky, sort of older school Chenin styles. Those are still there, but they seem to be made better. They're fresher. There were very few faulty wines.
There's almost a nice, fresher, green, more primary style. And then, all the way through to the more full-bodied, sort of oaky styles. Seems like the new wave winemakers also like Chenin Blanc.
So, I think this has really been an exciting, lineup. I think from the first one to the very, very, very last. And also it's quite exciting to see, because we had a bit of old world styles, a bit of current, and also wines, in fact, that really sort of takes us into the future.
That is a pretty stellar lineup of judges. To match some pretty stellar wine, it's time to find out who our top 10 are. Let's cross over to somewhere in the UK. I've got no idea where he is, but I know he's online. He's the chairman of Chenin Blanc, the godfather of Chenin Blanc in South Africa, and a great friend of the industry as a whole, and this wine in particular. A warm welcome, Mr. Ken Forrester. There is clearly load shedding wherever Ken is. Oh, there we go. Hello, Mr. Forrester. How are you?
Hello, Dan. Hi. Good day, listeners. Thank you, Craig, and thank you to the judges for all that you've done for the Chenin Blanc show this year, the Chenin Blanc Top 10. What can I say? I think it's just absolutely marvelous that we have managed once again to pull together the top 10 competition under kind of extraordinary conditions. And Ina Smith, the force of nature, all on her own, kind of COVID and no COVID, whatever else, managed to get samples, got special permits, got judges lined up. And we ended up with another competition, another top 10. And when I look at where we've come from as the Chenin Blanc Association, and when I see just how Chenin Blanc has moved onwards and upwards, and how Chenin Blanc has become literally the language of white wine for South Africa. Internationally, when you talk to people about South Africa, Chenin Blanc's the first thing that comes across their lips. Chenin Blanc, truthfully, 25, 26, 27 years ago, when I started putting Chenin Blanc into barrels, people truly told me I was being very foolish and wasting time and money, and there would be nothing good could come out of that. And when you look today and you see how far Chenin has come, and when you understand that Chenin is 18% of all the vineyard planted in South Africa, it really is the locomotive. Chenin is what drives the South African industry. 20% of the industry is driven by Chenin, and it's a vast chunk of the industry. It reaches right across all areas. It reaches deep right into the heartland of farming, and it provides Chenin Blanc at today true market rates, where for premium Chenin Blanc, you're paying the same price as you pay for premium Chardonnay, premium Cabernet, and why not? Chenin Blanc really has come of age. It's done a remarkable job for just opening up the eyes of the consumer to the quality of South African wines all around the world. And, if that just gets a foot in the door, if that gives us a start, and we can thank Chenin for that, that's just fantastic. It's just such good news to see Chenin growing and to see it doing so very well, to be taken seriously as it is today.
All right, well, let's continue that celebration then of Chenin Blanc, Mr. Chairman. We're in such a wonderful place, as you reiterate. Everyone has been alluding to that so far today. We've got 10 Chenins in particular, though, that are deserving of our praise. I think we've got them in alphabetical order. So if I can ask you, Ken, as our chairman of the Chenin Blanc Association, to please announce our top 10 Standard Bank Chenins for 2021.
Sorry, Dan, I missed that. I didn't get your cue there. I beg your pardon.
All right, it's the UK. It's the third world. Our apologies. We're crossing over to Ken there at the moment. Ken, if you can introduce us to our top 10, to our elite 10 Chenins in our Standard Bank Challenge for 2021.
Dan, I'm sorry, just the signal here. I'm going to have to, should I dial out? I beg your pardon. I'm just not getting onto the signal here.
All right, let's jump over then, if we can. I think James is still with us. So James, if I can bring you in, I know you've got the list there as well, just a few technical issues with Ken. So James, if I can ask you as the chair of the judging panel to please give us our top 10.
Well, without further ado, Ken, sorry to have lost you there. We're going to read these out in alphabetical order. And the first wine is a debutant to this space, and it is from Bellingham producer, the Bernard Series Old Vine Chenin Blanc Limited Release 2020. Well done to Bellingham and their team. I think it's the first time that they've joined the group. They might have been back in one of the previous competitions. Next up, no surprises here, probably one of the longest standing producers to make it to the top 10. I think they're now in their 7th or 8th year running, which is pretty spectacular. And this is from De Morganson. No surprises, Reserve Chenin Blanc 2020. Pretty awesome wine. A newcomer this year on the list. Very much deserved. One of my favorite wines at the moment. To be honest, I like the balance and it comes from a unique little area called Pietersen. And this is from Guardian Peak. Des Donkeys by Chenin Blanc 2020. This is followed by Mr. Forrester, and this may be why I jumped out of the boat, because, obviously had to pay us in the backhanded here a little bit, but this is Ken Forrester's own Terre Noire Chenin Blanc. And this is not from Stellenbosch. This is actually a swat plant wine, so very interesting to see it in the mix. 2020 vintage there. Well done, Ken. Next wine follows on a string of successes. They've been in the competition, in and out in the top 10 for most of its run so far. It's first of a duo. It's the Kleine Salze Vineyard Selection Chenin Blanc 2020. This is the value wine in the set, going for about 120 Rand retail, around about that point. So great result. They've always been in this mix, and they really know what they're doing with Chenin Blanc. Followed up by its big brother or bigger sister or bigger sibling, the Kleine Salze Family Reserve Chenin Blanc 2020. Awesome wine, done it many times. A new debutant, La Belle Rebelle. This is the Solitude Chenin Blanc 2020 from Breede Kloof. So nice to see that in the mix. Very interesting wine, a lot of texture, nice nougat. Then Liefland Old Vine Chenin Blanc. Pretty smart, happy for them. Then from the other big boys from Stellenbosch, Simonsig, their top Chenin, Avec Chen Wooded Chenin Blanc. And finally, another regular who's been in the competition for the last 7 years, Stellenrist, their old Bushvine Chenin Blanc 2020. Congratulations to all the producers. I think it's a remarkable lineup. We've seen many return faces to the top 10, and I think that speaks to the quality of these producers and how exciting the wines are that they're making. Congratulations to everybody. Well done.
Well done indeed. 9 producers, 10 wines, a terrific selection of not just great South African Chenin Blanc, but world-class Chenin Blanc. And we celebrate all 10 as our top performers in our Chenin Blanc challenge with Standard Bank. A lot of people watching in. Rolof Letriet, well done, Donkeys. Stellenrust Wines, go Ken. Congratulations, Mr. Forrester. Nizam Koch, well done, Ken Forrester. And Nate, well done to Mariette Stockberg Kutsia out at La Belle Rebelle. Baie trots op jou. Well, I think many people will share that sentiment. Congratulations. And Elvina Snell-Fortin-Lelius, so many inspiring stories. And then one final question for you, James, as we wrap up. There was a question from Craig of the winners, which would be the salty, savoury style. And as you answer that question, James, just in closing, a final word from you on the quality of these and perhaps the style, if there is one, which South Africa is embracing when it comes to top Chenin Blanc.
Well, the good news is there's no single style, and I think the variations are actually increasing in nuances. The salty style wines or savory wines are, Ken Forrester's would be one of those. The La Belle Rebelle is one as well. And that's more saline finish. One of the things I've noticed that the wines are becoming a little bit lighter in alcohol weight. There's a greater attention to a tuned acidity, giving the wines lovely length and a nice finish. And it's going to be amazing to see what happens in the next 10 years. Because if we look back, it's pretty spectacular what has been achieved. And I think it can only have to do with the fact that there's so much competition that you have to produce a 95-point wine in this day and age to be part of the Chenin Blanc competition. And long may it last. I really like Ken's phrase where Chenin Blanc has become South Africa's language of white wine or white wine language. That's pretty spectacular. And we see that in the price range as well, where you get great wines from 120 Rand up to our top performer in terms of price point is 430 Rand. So well done again to all the winners. Pretty spectacular wines. You can't go wrong. I think the fact that they're repeat winners just really confirms that these guys know what they're doing when it comes to Chenin Blanc.
All right. Some of the other people watching, Margie Brandt loves some of the newcomers. Len Maseko, one of the great wine writers of South Africa, a good friend of mine. Len, congrats to all the winners. And Clarissa Viljoen, 7 consecutive years. Well done, De Morganson. Let's get a final word from Standard Bank's global head of Chenin Blanc. Craig, I think you were taken by the judges, taken by the wine.
Yeah, congratulations to the winners. We look forward to hearing how you spent the money and the impact on the communities. That was really heartwarming and exciting for us. And then one comment, thank you to the judges. They put in a huge amount of effort. They're diligent, they're experts in their field. And then a personal comment is that as a tourist and as a consumer, I have been to Penny's Wine Bar. For anyone who's in the Cape, don't miss it. It is a fantastic experience. And a punt for Amos, he won't recall, but we went there one afternoon. If you want to see the lightness in the Cape that they refer to in the Chenin, if you want to see that embodied in a person, go and experience Amos's service, where he will give you the most delightful wine tasting. It's as good as you can get.
I think that's a wonderful note on which to wrap things up. A great endorsement for two of our judges and a terrific spot to be drinking Chenin Blanc. And why wouldn't you really? Because South African Chenin Blanc, as we've seen again this afternoon, as we've been seeing for some time now, is just world-beating and is delivering a range of styles and some truly, truly exceptional wine. So a huge thank you to our judges who were able to finally decide on 10 from a really, really tough selection and to give us our overall winners. Big thank you to Ken Forrester. Apologies for one or two technical issues a little earlier on, but lovely to have Ken with us nonetheless. And a special thank you to Craig and the team at Standard Bank for supporting in the way that you do, not just by drinking Chenin so enthusiastically, Craig, but for getting behind the projects, for getting behind the communities and allowing us to celebrate Chenin in such a special way.
And apologies for this connection, Dan, sorry, just doing the best we can, but a sincere thank you to Standard Bank, who've been with us for 9 years, who've done a remarkable job. And the entire rationale of the competition, the kind of driving force for the Chenin Blanc Association was do one thing at a time and get it right. And we were very conscious about lifting the value, lifting the price of Chenin Blanc grapes at producer level, because that goes right back to the farmer and it goes right back to the people who farm the land. It goes back to the labor that farms the land. And so it's been a fantastic outreach project, and it's made a difference to the lives of many, many people. Standard Bank, you can be proud. You've done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken. Fitting wrap up then. If you want to hear a little bit more about it, you can catch both Ken and James on Dan Really Likes Wine live at 5 o'clock this evening as we look back at our winners in our Standard Bank Chenin Blanc Challenge. Craig, I know you're dutifully going off just to retaste all 10 to make sure they do get your seal of approval. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thanks again for all of the support, and we look forward to a great relationship continuing long into the future. Ken, thank you, and good luck getting around England on the Rand. And to James Pietersen and his panel, thank you again. And lastly, a huge thank you to Ina Smith. I think she's actually 8 people, the amount of work she does for Chenin Blanc. She is, as Ken says, a force of nature, so passionate about Chenin Blanc and such a wonderful, wonderful example of all that is good in the South African wine industry. Keep drinking Chenin Blanc. You've got 10 to either add to your list or go back and try again, depending on how familiar you are with them. 9 producers, 10 terrific wines, and another brilliant selection in our Standard Bank Chenin Blanc Top 10 Challenge. Thanks so much for being with us. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for supporting South African wine and supporting Chenin Blanc. And we look forward to you continuing to drink the wine that, as Ken says, really has become South Africa's language of white wine. I'm Dan Nicholl for Dan Really Likes Wine and the Chenin Blanc Association in partnership with Standard Bank. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I sincerely hope it includes a very nice glass of Chenin Blanc. Goodbye.